Jeg snakker nåværende 5 språk, og jeg lærte meg selv 4 av dem. E eu quero falar como você pode aprender qualquer idioma que você quiser. Ever since I was young, I've been wanting to be conversationally fluent in every single language in the world. Unfortunately, that's not possible, so I picked up learning languages as a hobby. I figured out what a polyglot was, and I've always wanted to be one. And if you don't know what a polyglot is, it's pretty much somebody that speaks many, many languages. I'll put the correct definition here. Yeah, I wanted to be able to learn like every single language. I think I would consider myself a polyglot now because I speak 4 languages, but I've just fallen in love with it, and it's something I genuinely just do for fun. Language learning is fun for me, like it's something I do for fun. And when I have nothing to do, sometimes I just start studying a language. So it is something that I actively go out to seek, and I understand it can be difficult sometimes to learn a language if it's something that feels as though it's a chore. But that's why I want to teach you how you can make it fun even if it does feel like studying. You kind of just have to find ways to make it entertaining for you. I'll talk a little bit about the languages that I speak first. So I obviously speak English. I have spoken English since I was in kindergarten, so it technically wasn't the first language I spoke, even though I was born in the United States. El primer idioma que yo aprendí fue español. Mis padres son de la República Dominicana y yo también. Nací en los Estados Unidos, como dije, pero cuando ese fue el primer idioma que aprendí, español. Me recuerdo hablando y pensando en español. Era el único idioma que yo sabía hasta que volvimos a los Estados Unidos y aprendí inglés. Después de eso, hablé inglés básicamente en la escuela y con mis amigos todo el tiempo, entonces por eso es que es mi idioma primario ahora. Pero todavía hablo el español con mis padres. Me gusta practicarlo porque quiero ser fluente todavía. Entiendo perfectamente, pero a veces me siento como si pierdo lo que estoy diciendo. Algunas palabras no las encuentro, entonces quiero que todavía esté fuerte. Então, a terceira língua que eu falo é português. Eu aprendi português na universidade, mas eu aprendi com uma professora. Eu não gostava da maneira como eles nos ensinavam uma língua, então comecei a aprender idiomas por conta própria. Eu amo português, mas eu preciso falar mais e eu preciso praticar mais, porque não é perfeito. Så etter det, jeg vil lære tysk, fordi jeg vil lære en språk fra Europa. Ja, jeg vil lære tysk, men kjæresten min er fra Norge, så jeg tenkte jeg kan lære norsk. Så ja, jeg begynner å lære norsk. Det er veldig bra at jeg har en andre person nær meg at jeg kan snakke norsk med, fordi jeg kan øve med han hele tiden. Vi kan snakke norsk når jeg vil, så ja. Det er veldig bra at jeg kan snakke norsk nå, fordi jeg kan snakke med familien hans. Meste folk i Norge snakker engelsk, men norskmenn ofte liker å snakke norsk, så det er bedre hvis du snakker norsk. Men de snakker engelsk, så det går bra. And the last language that I can speak is Russian. It's my new language that I'm starting to learn. I only know how to say a few words. The first things that I've done is I've started learning the alphabet. Since they have a completely different alphabet, I have been learning that. And I also know very simple words like привет, как дела, выполнимаю по-русски. That's pretty much it. I don't know very much. It's a new language and I haven't gotten into it. Like I said, I do it on my free time, so I haven't really gotten into it as much as I would like to. There is going to be affiliate links in the description to all the apps I'm going to talk about today. So what I want to talk about is the way that works for me and the way that you can be conversationally fluent. What that means is that I primarily focus on being able to speak the language and not how to write it or read it. I do include writing and reading into a little bit of my language learning, but it's not the main focus because I just want to be able to speak to people in my chosen language. So usually how I start off learning a language, let's say I'm going to be learning French, is that I usually start off with Pimsleur. The way it works is it's like an audio course. They usually are like 30 minutes long. So I like to do them when I'm like driving or doing some menial task like doing the dishes, cooking, something where I can be listening. Like when you would listen to a podcast is when I usually listen to Pimsleur. And pretty much how it works is they start you off with phrases and you repeat them back. It really gets you talking in the language, and you can try to like mimic the speaker as much as possible so that your speaking skills start to develop in that language. Even if your pronunciation is not perfect at first, you can start listening to native speakers and being able to like get a flow for how it works. They start to teach you some really, really good basics of some of the first few phrases that you're gonna need for language learning. I feel like a lot of like language learning apps start to show you really random words that you're really not gonna need at first, like animals. Like it's not very common that I say elephant in any of my target languages, but I will need to say like, I speak a little bit of English, or I speak a little bit of French. I only speak English. Do you speak English? Like stuff like that that would be like useful, or like I don't understand. Things like that. When you sign up for Pimsleur, you get a 7-day free trial to see if you like it or not, and then it's $14.95 after that. And currently, Ukrainian is free to learn until December 31st. So if you want to try out Ukrainian, or you want to see any of the languages or how the app works, click the link below in my bio and that'll take you to it. What I do with Pimsleur is that I start one day and then it's 30 minutes a day, so I do it every day for 30 days. And then by the end of that month, I usually have a really good grasp on how to be able to speak a lot of the basics of the language. So the way that I incorporate having fun with languages is that there is a bit of like studying, I suppose, but I also incorporate fun ways to enjoy the language. I have some study sessions that I do a day, and then I supplement it with like fun things. So these fun things can include using a gamified language learning app like Duolingo. You can also do things like watch TV shows and movies in your target language, even if the TV show, like if you're watching Netflix, even if it's in English, like it was filmed in English, sometimes they have subtitles and audio versions of different languages. And during the time, by the way, that you're learning Pimsleur, you have to expose yourself to the language as much as possible. A lot of people, when they're learning a language, they sometimes move to their country of choice to learn that language, and the reason why that works so efficiently is because they're literally forced to speak the language. Like everybody speaks, like if you move to France, like everyone's gonna speak French. Some people might speak English, but like for the most part, they're gonna want to speak French. So it really forces you to like have to speak and learn. It's more of like a survival kind of thing. You have to learn how to do it. So the more you can expose yourself to the language, the better. Some things are like change your phone's language to your target language. Try just talking to yourself in the language. Use, like I said, fun things on the side like watching TV shows. At this stage, I usually like to watch the TV show with the audio in your target language and then English subtitles, so you can start listening because you want to develop your listening and speaking skills. So you can start hearing your target language in that show, and then you can read it in English, and you can start to pick up words here and there. It's not going to seem like it at first, but trust me, it really helps a ton to start just listening to the patterns and the cadences of what the language sounds like. So after you've been doing Pimsleur for 30 days or 60 days or however long, I like to get the 1,000 most common words in your target language. You can find them online everywhere. Just look up 1,000 most common words in French, Russian, Spanish, English, whatever. And I like to put them into like a flashcard app such as like Anki, or there's a bunch of flashcard apps, but like the one that I use is Anki. So pretty much I like to put those 1,000 words into Anki. Another thing you can do is if instead of 1,000 words, you can also start to pick out certain words that you hear from like TV shows, or you can also supplement it with like reading books if you want to read more, listening to music. I usually like to find music as well in my target language. That kind of helps and gives me a vibe for like the culture and stuff like that. I don't know the vibe for the country. I don't know. During this 1,000 word stage, it might be a big leap, but it would be good to have the TV shows and the movies that you're watching in your target language, and then have the subtitles be in your target language as well, so that you start seeing what the words actually are. It might be a little bit difficult, but once you feel comfortable enough to be able to do that, then you can start like seeing what the word is, and then you can like pick them out during that session, write it down, add it to your flashcard deck, and then you can learn it as you go along. A tip that I want to give is that when you are speaking a language, you don't need to know every single word that exists in that language. I am fluent in English, but I do not know medical terms because I am not in the medical field or a doctor. I do not know a lot of car terms because I'm not into cars that much. So there are like groups of things that you usually talk about pretty often. For example, if you're into art, then you would have a lot of words that you need to know about art. Or if you are into video games, then you would know a lot of words about video games. You need to have a basis of course, like the basic words that you need to use in the language to string sentences together. But there are certain topics that you will talk about for the most part. Like for me, it would be languages, video games, filmmaking, and I would write down a bunch of words from those topics, and that'll help me be able to talk about the things that I'm the most passionate about. And then pretty much the last step, or the step that you could be doing before this as well, is to talk with people. There are so many apps out there where you can find people to talk to and practice in your target language. If you want to be able to practice talking, I really recommend italki. It is a tutor app pretty much that you can speak to someone. Different tutors have different ways, but you can talk to a tutor and they can just have a conversation with you about whatever it is you want to talk about. They can teach you like a lesson from like a book or something if you want to do that. Like I said, different tutors have different ways. But there are also apps out there where you can chat with people, kind of like a social media, but where you can chat with people in your target language and they can learn whatever it is, the language that you speak. So I think it was called Hello Talk. I used to use that one. Pretty much I speak English and I would put that I spoke Portuguese, and then I would get a bunch of people talking to me in Portuguese and I would be able to talk to them in English, and then we would both learn. It's like a win-win situation. It's really important that you be able to speak the language. There might be like clubs out in your city or town that get together to have like a French session or whatever it may be, you know. This tactic that I just talked about, I have seen it used by other people, so if you are really consistent with this, you could potentially learn a language within a few months. I hope this helps you learn your target language, and buena suerte, boa sorte, cliquetil. If you liked everything I was talking about and you want to help me out, I am actually a filmmaker who's currently making a short film. We are currently crowdfunding for it, so there's going to be a link in my bio if you want to donate. You also get rewards if you donate to my film. So go check it out, and go check out the sneak peek there where we show kind of what the film is going to look like and what we're trying to achieve. And if you liked all that good stuff, then don't forget to subscribe so you can catch all my videos whenever they come out. Let me know down below what language you're going to be learning, or what languages you know already.